Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah. I wanted to mainly show my works in progress. I have two garments and one tarot bag that I'm working on. There are two random items, though they're knitting related, so that they'll be in this video as well. I finished the test knit, so it is the the name is called the Guilt Sweater. So the inspiration for the designer Jenna Kostedt, she's a Finnish knitwear designer, was that she felt bad that she had a lot of leftover yarn and she wanted to put it into a project. So this is where it came from. I call it a surprise knit because it I didn't see the pattern before signing up for it, and I trusted that regardless of what it was, that I would enjoy the garment and project because I've knit so many of her patterns. I've knit stuff from her book. I've knit stuff from the other patterns that aren't in her book, and have done some test knits. So this is 2 weeks of knitting this. And I did do modifications. For the most part, the directions were to knit until you get to the yoke and you cover the sleeves, and that would be for the test knit, with the idea that some knitters might do their own thing with the project, uh, especially around that area. I did do modifications. I started with one size, and then for the last decreases, I decreased to the size smaller. And then I cut for the sleeves. I am just going to knit black for the body and do short sleeves. The pattern is for knitting color work for the whole garment, but I did use up a lot of the scrap yarn. It's amazing that the red at the top is the Latvian wool from Hobby Wool, and this red is the Rhubarb Phenol. And so I used up all of the Latvian wool here. I have a good amount of the gray left, but I did use a lot of it. There were scraps from the mittens from the first two skeins, and I have more to knit the second one. I would say 3/4 finished with the hand part of the mitten, the whole thing, but I still have to do the thumb. So I love how colorful it is. I love that I got to use all non-superwash. It is more of a preference for me. And, sometimes I mix the yarn up. I tend to like the non-superwash. I just feel like the benefits are so amazing for it. Of course, you get the benefits of the non-superwash, and of course, you get the benefits of the superwash. Um, I would have been further along, but I did start over from the short rows in the back that you could see, because when I was first doing it, I won't give away the pattern, but there's a section where the pattern has all of the decreases, or it's shown in one section. And I use Google Translate because the pattern is written in Finnish. And before I go on about it, I have, as I said, I've knit many of her patterns, and her patterns are the smoothest that I have knit for many of the smoothest knitting processes that I've knit for um, different projects. I hope that didn't come out too jumbled, but just to say that I definitely understand and can read like her patterns are definitely user friendly, and so it was just how it was translated, because some of the words were like floor, and that was in the chart area. I still haven't translated that into something else because I tried to translate the translations. I don't know what. Ground of wire, main road, which I mean, I got an idea of like where it was in the pattern because if you know the construction of a sweater, you'll get the gist of it. And then there's the abbreviations. So candle smoking ended up being like the yoke area, and that was the section where all the increases were or are. So I was looking at the increase area, and I was thinking, the is that really what she would want to do, such extreme increases? Because you're shaping the yoke where it's so it fits over your shoulders, and it's gradual. So I was trying to see where to put the increases, and by the time I figured it out, when it started to click on where I was supposed to do it, because I was trying to compare different parts of the pattern to see how I can translate it, and it ended up being because I I was like, of course it would be there where it says floor in the chart. And at that point, I had almost 400 stitches. So I ripped back to around 150 stitches because that's where the short rows began. And I started to rework the sweater because I didn't want to end up just making it so I was basically almost tripling the amount of knitting that I would have to do because of how drastically I would increase, and even that I still didn't think that was how it was supposed to be. So I ended up putting plain rows in between the increases. But it turned out better than how I thought it would be. Um, I chose these colors. Well, I chose them not only because they were scraps, but also because I just needed something bold and exciting. When I first opened the pattern up, when I was given it, um, I saw the color work and I thought that's really methodical. And I'm the type of I love the chaos of knitting. I love color work, um, and how the different patterns and pictures within the color work just are like one round is different from another round, and it's exciting. You want to get to the next round, you want to see what the pattern looks like, knit up with the colors that you chose. If I love the the different types of imagery that you get because I tend to like the nature themes or folk theme animal that I would see in her patterns. So to make this more interesting for me, I'm not saying I would like the pattern because again I trust the type of patterns that she knits because I've just loved the ones that I have. I needed it to be interesting. So by choosing these colors, it just makes it that much cooler for me. So I'll keep going with the body. And I'm excited to be able to wear this. This one does have a wider neck, which I like. And even when I knit my regular garments or garments in general, I tend to start the count or cast on maybe at the maybe first increase because I don't really like tight necks, tight neck holes, I suppose. Maybe there's a lot going on already with my necklaces, but I did my own thing with the body and how it was calculated, which wasn't bad. Um, and I was reading off another pattern that I knit up to, so I saw the numbers and I did my own range, like for the underarms and where I would put the sleeves and everything, and it turned out exactly how I wanted it. So that's this one. And it was a slower knit too for me because, sorry, before I get to the next one, after this section, I purchased a Norwegian thimble, and it's in this bag right now. I love this bag. It goes perfectly with my Ukrainian colored backpack. And it's like this aquatic blue or teal or green. There's blue and green in there. So the Norwegian thimble that I have is, I feel like it's sterling silver. It was a little bit on the pricier end. I did get it at Magpie Fibers, and it looks a little different, and I smelled it, and I'm not getting a reaction from maybe if it was another material. For sure it doesn't have nickel, and it hasn't discolored or anything when I wear it. I wanted to see how it would be with my tension, and I'm happy to say that there isn't much of a difference here. I do like how it turned out. It is slightly slower, but it is slower, but I feel like there's less movement, and I feel like I could technically knit longer. Even so, at the time had I was still working full time, and now technically it's it was my last day yesterday, but I said I would pop in here and there because I was going to go to my godmother's. I'm just filming this beforehand because I have to figure out the lighting of the room, and like because it's a room in the basement. Um, and I usually just use my finger and I wrap the yarn around and I adjust it when I need to let go or put more on. So I feel like I was fine with that, like that too. I still usually do that, but I'm super pleased and I'm happy that I got to try the Norwegian thimble. I'll still use it. I feel like I'll knit with it and then I won't knit with it. I I feel like it will just be something nice to do sometimes. Now, let me show my tarot bag right now. I really love how this is turning out. I think the colors are so just, they're everything. And I love this, how it's turning out. I will probably show it in a video log at some point when it's either made mostly finished or completely finished. But I don't know if the camera can catch it or video, but or webcam, but even now it blends in really well, or it kind of looks a little more like a gradient because at the bottom it was the very remaining of the Latvian yarn for the red, and then it goes into the Rumagard Beanle. So it works really well. I will say I love the Latvian wool. It just has like a berry color to it, and I really love that. So I feel like there's just that much more depth and complexity to it that I love Room Garden too. So uh, it's just to say that it's probably going to be a favorite. I am going to try to leave really, really, really early today because I want to try to make it to one of these yarn shops. Now, I could just go later this coming week, but I felt like it is something that I could do tomorrow or today because they have this Portuguese yarn that I've been wanting to try, and it's featured in the Portuguese knitting book, and I have knit the project, the Algibira bag, where it's like a pouch, and I knit it as tarot bags, and or as a tarot bag for me, and then as a pouch as like gift for a patient. And so I saw shades of red that I really loved and shades of blue that I love too. So I haven't seen it in other stores aside from this one, where this state where my godmother's in, but it is in the northern area, so it's even more of a drive. So I'm going to drive to her area, then I'm going to go even further up to the very north because she's in the southern area. So it's the Retrosaria brusca, and it is 50% Saloya and 50% Merino Branco and Merino Preto wool. And Saloya is a native sheep breed to the region of Lisbon and Setúbal. So I I have been wanting to try this Portuguese yarn, and I really want to see it in person. I'm just excited. So another thing is I'm not gonna do too much more shopping. I feel like this will be one of the last bigger yarn hauls if I do end up buying a good amount. I'll also be moving overseas. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use the gift card because the owner also gave me a gift card on my last day and she really didn't need to, so I super, super, super appreciate it. I'm gonna be weary about how or when I spend it, um, but it's nice to know that I have it. So, and it's nice because I did purchase the electric spinning wheel circa the I don't even know how to say that that was made during the USSR era, and so that was an investment, and I feel like I definitely got it at a good time. I will say some other things before I get into the last project. I want to show two things. So this was a super cheap set. It was like $22. So I figured I would pick it up to see because it's Knitter's Pride and it's their acrylic set. I saw it uh, and I figured it can't hurt because I did get to feel the needles. I am one to really look into the texture of the needles, which is why I have only stuck with two types of needles that I enjoy knitting with consistently. Um, I do enjoy Knitter's Pride products too. So the other one is this vest, and I'm really happy that I got it because it's let's see, or I love the fit of it and where it stops. It can be worn open, or I close it with a couple of buttons. I don't know why I said that so weirdly, but I love the color. I love that it's a classic knit. I love the classic look that just a knitting garment has. It just brings it together for me because I feel like there's a bit of a wildness that I have going on. And so when I have my knitted wardrobe, I feel like it ties the stuff together. So I really want to wear this with the skirts. At the time, I had my leggings and And they went up pretty high, so like stomach area, a little above my belly button, and that was super nice too. I feel like it is a nice, it stops at a nice place. So I am surprised that I saw it and I just picked it up. I tried it on before picking it up because if I didn't try it on, I probably wouldn't have picked it up. Then let me get the last project. So the last project I have had on my needles since May, which is unusual. I feel like it would have definitely gotten finished by now. But it is the Metalark sweater. I am going to crop it. Well, I'm going to do short sleeves. And since the body is color work, I'll probably enjoy that. I don't see why I wouldn't. I did cut off the peaches and cream yellow. That was the main thing. I've knit with peaches and cream with cloths and taro bags. I've never knit it on a larger scale as in a garment, and it is dense to knit it with. So each row was just like it was a lot. So and I've knit with different types of yarn, and I don't mind like different textures, even the I guess the density, how it feels in that way, or the different weights. I don't mind knitting with like chunky yarn. And I've knit sweaters with chunky yarn. And I was fine and I breezed through it because it's chunky yarn and it's like a quick project. This one is not, well, it's not chunky yarn, but it was just so much at like strength to get through each round. And I refuse to frog it because it is so beautiful and I love the color palette. I love how like bright and aquatic and just fun. It's my first bright garment and again with yarn it just kind of subdues it, and even if it's bright, it's I feel like it's still wearable. Some people might say otherwise, but or for me it's not. This doesn't seem like super, it's like really washing out or doing stuff to the video, but um, it is so nice. It was delightful to knit with the cotton yarn, like the Premier Just Cotton yarn. There is a percentage of different, so it's 85% cotton, 15% polyester, so it's majority cotton. That's why I picked it up. I loved how, especially when I was knitting the short rows, how cold it was to knit with, and it was just really flexible. Then when I got to this area, it was a lot, and I just cut it because I saw this yarn and I did a couple of stitches with it, and I really loved how like it felt so like a breeze because it was so light and not what I've been knitting with. So it is the it's a shade darker, but there is a lighter version eventually. I'm sorry, it's just like all washing out. Eventually I'll get the shade lighter than this one and start to finish this because I really do love this piece. And it has the larks on here and it's full on color work and it's really bright and fun. Even has my sunflower stoppers on here. So it's the only stoppers I have. I don't know where my notions, I don't know where a lot of my what is it stitch markers are. I don't know if I packed it or anything, but I for sure didn't have a lot of stoppers because I tend to just pull it, and I don't take a super long time with the garments. It depends on different things, but I do love these stoppers, and I haven't found any that I liked more than these. So at some point, I'll get that yarn because I know that I love knitting with this blue, and I know that I love knitting with this cotton, and this is 100% cotton, and it feels super nice. And um, I wanted it to, blend into it because I didn't want it to be like a gradient, but I will end up using this yellow with another blue. So those were the projects. I hope I didn't forget to say anything. If I did, I'll probably mention it in a video log. Still a really cheap project. So if I don't use this yellow, well, if I get the other yellow, it'll still be under $20 that I have spent on this project because altogether it was like $13 around there. And I think that's it. I'm going to have to do a power nap and then just put everything together and put it in the car. So I will pick up my spinning wheel and I will pick up my loom most likely, and I might move the storage unit. But I am going to get my car detailed in this area, and that would be like the main last thing. Did I say what I was going to do? Since the, I guess, realtor that I wanted to rent a property from, their policy is to only rent to people if they have seen the property in person, or they could have somebody, like a friend or family member, go on their behalf. Since it's overseas, in Scotland, I don't have that. So I was thinking, since you're going through like plans A through Z, you have different things and how to do them. And if this happens, then you can maybe do this or do that. I was thinking of just one trip instead of doing that one trip, then coming back here and then going back. It would just going straight there, have like an Airbnb for maybe a month or so I can look at the properties and go through the application process for renting property in while I'm in the area, and then just move out of the, I guess, like um after the Airbnb, go into the apartment. So that's one way of thinking about it. But I really gotta get a move on with selling the car because that's like the main thing, and because the government is going to be looking at my bank account to make sure I'm not a liability. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in another video. Bye.